Got there. 6 to win, 4 for a super over.
G'day and welcome to the Game Day Squad Oz Cricket Fantasy Show. I'm Stu, that's Dill, and that's Haz. We're the Fantasy Bros, and we've partnered with Game Day Squad to bring you all you need to know to succeed in this season's Oz Cricket. Dill, welcome, mate. What can our viewers expect from us this season?
Yeah, g'day, Stu. G'day, Haz. We're on to our final team preview. We're going to discuss the ins and outs, the likely 11 and their must-have players, as well as our young gun and MVP candidates, as well as our fade. I know it sounds harsh, but we do that each and every week. Also, as always, we're going to have that exciting pack opening where it's also going to be a competition where the viewers and listeners can win some pretty special prizes. Look, I'll be honest, that giveaway pool is absolutely loaded with some unreal cards. So make sure if you haven't yet done so, go back, check out our previous team previews, and then get involved in the giveaway. We've also got our positional rankings coming up soon in the next week or so. We're going to drop those before the start of the season. So make sure you have liked and subscribed across all of our socials to keep up to date. You just need to search at Fantasy Bros AU.
G'day, Stu. G'day, Deal. Yes, you do not want to miss that. Don't forget, there is still plenty of time to jump on board with Game Day Squad and get your squads stacked. Sign up on the app or website and use the promo code SUMMER, SUMMER, to get 3x3 player common packs. Remember, it's all caps, and you got to sign up during the sign up process. Otherwise, it won't work.
Yeah, absolutely. Do not miss out on that. Boys, the English robbed us of a couple of days of exciting Ashes Test cricket, and I can't think of anything better than filling in that spare time other than logging on to the brand new Fantasy Bros website and downloading the Big Bash textbook. So, viewers and listeners, if you haven't already done so, make sure you log on to fantasybrosau.com and which gives you so much information, so much valuable information that's going to help you take your teams to the top of the Game Day Squad standings. There's about 40 odd pages or more across that. And you don't want to miss out on that information because you'd be kicking yourself if you see some of the teams flying up the rankings and then they start posting in the Discord about thanks to the Fantasy Bros textbook. The English robbed us of some cricket, but the Fantasy Bros have given you some extra piece of information. Log onto that website, download that textbook. Let us know that you've downloaded it. It's free as well. Enjoy the spoils of that. Righto, boys, let's get into that lucky last preview, and that's the second Sydney team that actually dominated their crosstown rivals last season. Haz, you want to tell us about how they're looking for season 2025?
Yeah, you're right. They certainly did dominate their crosstown rivals in that finals matchup at the end of last season, and they really did come a bit out of nowhere. I think they kind of just made a run at the right time and made it all the way through to that grand final against Hobart. But ultimately, we know that Mitch Owen definitely took the game away from them in the end. But it was still a good season for them to reflect on. They had those 5 wins and 3 losses, and they won 3 knockout games in a row to get to that granny. So I think they're going to be in a good position to go a long way again this year. They've got a pretty good, strong squad. And some of those ins are Aiden O'Connor and internationals that are returning again this year, Sam Billings, Lockie Ferguson, and Shadab Khan from Pakistan. And then outs, Liam Hatch has crossed over to the Stars, Jason Sanger's son with the Strikers, Will Saltzman is joining the Renegades, and unfortunately, big name recruit Ravi Ashwin from India is unfortunately going to miss the season due to injury. I know I was really excited to see him in Big Bash this year. Unfortunately, I think we're going to have to wait. Hopefully, he'll be back next year. And then they've got off contract players, Dan Christian, Pat Cummins, obviously the Aussie captain, and Toby Gray and Nick Maddinson. So that brings us to the likely 11 that we are predicting that the Thunder will roll out with in round 1 this season. And it's the Bull, David Warner, opening the batting with young gun Sam Constas. Cam Bancroft coming in at first drop. Ollie Davies, the wicketkeeper bat, Sam Billings. Shadab Khan, so the strong middle order from the internationals. Chris Green, Dan Sams, the big hitting all-rounder. Nathan McAndrew, Wes Agar, and young leg spinner Tanveer Sanger.
Yeah, imagine how much different that team would look with Ravi Ashwin's name in there, boys. Here's a bit of a trivia question that you weren't prompt with early on today, but the Big Bash has been around for season now. How many players with an Indian international cap to their name have featured in the Big Bash? Anyone want to have a guess?
Zero.
It is zero. And that's super surprising, isn't it? We were about to get number one in Ravi Ashwin, and that didn't quite make it. Any predictions? Who we think the first Indian cricketer feature on our shores will be? Anyone want to throw a name out there?
I feel like surely Ravi has to come back. Surely he signed. It's just an injury. It's not like it was international duties. I feel like he'll be back.
Righto. So Thunder fans, you got to wait 12 months, but yeah, you should make some history there. The first Indian player in the Big Bash. Righto, boys. Let's get on to the must-own players. This is where Dill has an eye. We'll be selecting one batsman, one all-rounder, and one bowler who we think you simply must have in your game day squad lineups. You're up first today, mate. Who's your bat must have?
I think this one's a pretty obvious one, but David Warner, he's now a T20 gun for hire, and he's returning to the Thunder this season after playing his first full BBL campaign last year. He featured in all of the Thunder's games last year, proving he's still as fit and as explosive as ever, despite being on the wrong side of 30. Warner finished BBL 14 with the second highest average among batsmen who played more than 3 games, just behind James Vince, averaging 52.5 GDS points per match. Over the season, he scored 405 runs to be precise, at an average of 45 and a strike rate of 141.6, showcasing just how dangerous he can be at the top of the order. After a relatively slow start to the season, he went on a mid-season tear to score 86, 49, 50, and 88 runs in 4 consecutive innings. I think this is where the Thunder season really kick-started, when he found that little bit of form. This resulted in GDS scores of 108, 68, 65, and 103. And as we know, he is also a gun fielder who loves to be right in the thick of the action, which allows him to accumulate those extra GDS points in the field. Last season, he took 6 catches and had 1 run out to boost that scoring output. And as I mentioned earlier, Warner has become a bit of a gun for hire and has played in multiple competitions around the world in 2025. He's played in the 100, the MLC, the PSL, and had a brief stint in the ILT 20 as well. I think it was more in the PCL for the Karachi Kings, where he scored 368 runs in 11 games at a strike rate of 153.97, including 3 50-plus scores, showcasing he still has some talent to compete against some of the world's best bowlers in the T20 format. His recent form in the MLC and the 100 hasn't been eye-catching. He's only averaged 19 and 28 and a strike rate of around 125. He's failed to play any T20 cricket of note since the conclusion of the 2025 100 season, which finished late August. It raises the question, has Warner been away from the T20 scene for a little bit too long now, and will that rust once again impact the start of the season? Or is he simply resting, getting ready to explode when it counts in front of his home crowds? I believe if his stats from BBL 14 are anything to go by, I think he might be a bit of a slow starter, but it won't take long for Warner to find that groove out in the middle, which makes him a near must-play at the back end of the tournament, week in, week out.
Yeah, he was one player I just couldn't get right last season, Dill. I think you might have been in the same boat a couple of times. We'd sort of looked for a Warner big score and it didn't happen, so we were turned off him and didn't play him the following round. And, of course, he goes and scores one of those big 60-plus scores. The good thing is, boys, he's obviously spent a bit of time in the commentary box for that Ashes Test series, but that only lasted 2 days. So hopefully that means he spent the next 3 days getting some extra time in the nets and getting rid of some of that rust that has alluded to. Right, Adil, the bowler must have for the Sydney Thunder. Who have you got?
Yeah, look, boys, it's taken me until the last episode, but I'm going to break some rules. I'm here now, and I've got to do it. I've selected not 1, but 2 must-have bowlers for the Thunder. But hear me out. I've got some really good reasons, all right? Firstly, Lockie Ferguson would be my must-have bowler if we had him for a full season. Obviously, he is contracted to the ILT20. So we probably won't see him until about round 10. I think that's sort of where he's going to come back, which means we're probably going to get about 4 games of the regular season. If they get into the finals, obviously they have a finals push again, we might get him for more. Look, he played 6 games last year and he took 8 wickets, which included a 3-wicket haul in his first outing in the Big Bash scene. Once he's back in the Big Bash, he's just an absolute lock for me. But until then, we've got to just bide our time. So I think the other player that I'm looking at is going to be Nathan McAndrew. And he didn't have a lot of game time last season. He had featured in 3 regular season games, but he went wicketless twice before bagging a double against the Scorchers. So it was once again, a slow burn for Nathan McAndrew. But we just have to wind the clock back to that knockout final performance. And that's the reason that he's coming straight into my side for the 25-26 season. In his 4 overs in that game, he took 5 wickets with 17 dots. He also added 9 runs. Gave him a massive 141 GDS points. Taking 5 wickets in 4 overs is just absolutely ridiculous, and he looked absolutely fired up in that game. He did follow that up in the Challenger final, where he had a wicket in his 4 overs, but then again he added a handy 19 not off 7 balls to make sure the Thunder got over the line and into that final. So I'm pretty keen to get him into my side because he does have that batting upside. He's got the ability to just stand and swing. And he doesn't really care about his wicket at all. So I'm pretty happy to get him into my team. The other thing I love about him, and we talk about it quite a lot, he's going to start with the new ball at the beginning of the innings, and then more than likely he's going to finish with some of those death overs, which we know is just absolute paradise for junk wickets. So for me, I'm going the partnership. I'm going to start with locking in Nathan McAndrew as my must-have bowler up until round 10, and then I'm going to swap probably Lockie Ferguson's just that step a bit ahead of Nathan McAndrew, but for me it's going to be Lockie Ferguson in the back half for 25-26 season.
Yeah, I really like that shout for both of those Thunder boys. I think McAndrew, like you said, in that finals campaign, he was seriously impressive after the not really much impact throughout the season. I think, like you said, that impact with the bat is probably something in a bowling position that just adds that little bit of extra spice that we like to have in the game for our bowlers. And I think, could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right, I'm the only one that hasn't picked 2 players in a position all preseason. But hey, that's just me.
Wait, who did I pick?
I think you went with the Heat boys, didn't you?
No, I don't know. We might have to go back through have a look. I'm going to call up DRS for that. We'll have to go back through the tapes and see. Mate, I'm just shell-shocked that Dill said that Nathan McAndrew and Lockie Ferguson are like for like. That's absolutely sent me. I don't think anyone played Nathan McAndrew in their teams last season. Probably not even his mother in that 141 GDS point haul. But wow, that'll do me. Dill, you did say that McAndrew is probably going to get some of the death overs. Look, I'm hoping those death overs are going to go to Daniel Sams, and he's my all-rounder must-have. He had a season to forget last year. He played just the 5 matches before suffering that nasty collision with Cam Bancroft. He ended up with a broken nose and a fractured shoulder. He was then ruled out not long after with a lingering side injury as well, being a leading cause for missing out on the remainder of the season there. So for a better indication as to what we might expect from him, I went back to the 2023-24 numbers, and they look pretty nice. He took 12 wickets in 8 matches. And that included a 5 for 30. He was only one of 3 players alongside Benny Dwarshuis and Lance Morris to do that. So if you can get someone taking 5 wickets, not only are you getting a plethora of points, but you're getting those bonus points as well for taking the 3 and 5 wickets. Like you mentioned, look, no Lockie Ferguson to start the tournament. So the Thunder are going to rely on him a lot. And like you mentioned, the death overs, those jump wickets, they're super handy. They're super vital. He might get spanked for 18 runs off the first 5 balls, but if you can just toss a nice one up and get the batsman caught on the boundary rope, it all counts, and that's 20-odd points for GameDay squad, and we'll take them all. Look, he's got the change-ups to feature as that really handy late overs bowler, a bit like Nathan Ellis, without the pace, without the sort of consistency. But when he gets it right, he can be really tough to play, and it's those slower balls on some of the slower Sydney pitches that he can really get it moving and cause some trouble for the batsman. He's also got a knack of scoring some pretty handy and some pretty quick runs to the mid to lower order with the bat. And we know we say it so often that a bowler that can score runs with the bat is absolute gold in the bowler position. But look, we're going to rely on him getting points with the ball as an all-rounder, and those bat points are just going to hopefully put the cherry and the icing on top of that cake. He'd be an absolute cheat code, I think, if he was a bowler. But yeah, look, he's still in the all-rounder at the moment, so we're going to hope that he gets plenty of runs. But look, I think he'll get amongst the wickets. He's got that upside with the bat. He's not your typical all-rounder like that Matty Short, Mitchy Wade that opens the innings and gets 2 to 4 overs depending on the situation. But yeah, it's the upside mid to late innings. You just pray that he can get out there because he's only got one way, and that's to swing. And if he can get it in the middle, it typically goes the distance. So yeah, look, the Thunder have a couple of pretty handy all-rounders there in Shadab Khan returning as well. So it'll be interesting to see what he does. And I think he might play a pretty pivotal role alongside Danny Sams. But I think he might be the forgotten man. Bad season last year, bad average, bad injury, big bounce back this year.
Yeah, I think that the big thing for me is if you do pick him, just don't watch the death overs, because in the past he's bowled plenty of no balls. He loves to bowl the full toss, hip height ball in those death overs. So if he does get given that ball, you just got to cover your eyes and just wait to hear the reaction of the catch out in the deep. So yeah, good luck to anyone that picks him and he's bowling in those death overs.
Absolutely. Righto, boys, on to our young gun, our fade, and our MVP picks for the very last time of the team previews. You're up. Who are we fading?
Mac Gilks is someone who has really struggled to cement a spot in the Thunder lineup over the past couple of seasons now. He featured in 9 of the Thunder's 13 games last year, up from just 4 games in BBL 13. Last season, Gilks scored 157 runs at a strike rate of 130, giving him a reasonable average of 29.7 GDS points, which is actually not too bad for the wicket-keeping position. However, he hasn't played much meaningful T20 cricket since the end of BBL 14 and has limited opportunities for New South Wales so far this year. He failed to make their Sheffield Shield side this season, limiting the amount of time he's been getting in the middle. In his 5 one-day cup matches, he's passed 50 only the once, scoring 99 against South Australia. Brutally unlucky not to get the ton. While Redra Singh scores 4, 37, 12, and 10 in his 4 other innings. With Constas missing out on Ashes selection and the Thunder signing international Shadab Khan, Gilks could find himself on the fringes of the best 11, which would limit his impact this season. His BBL 13 campaign could be a sign of what we could expect from Gilks this season. In his 4 games, he managed only 21 runs at an average of 4.75 GDS points per game, showing how reliant he can be on that consistent and game time and role. With Sam Billings in the squad, Gilks won't be needed with the gloves either, which really cements him as a one-dimensional player who will be heavily reliant on scoring bulk runs to boost his output this season. So I think he's a pretty easy fade for me this season.
Yeah, I think they were even reluctant to play him last season, despite having half of their coaching staff in the squad as well. We remember Dan Christian coming back for a couple of games. Probably happy to throw the coaching staff a bit more of a run than poor Matty Gilks. Yeah, not really the big bash run scoring player that we want. Certainly not someone that we should rely on, but someone that I think will have a pretty big season will be the young gun. That's Sammy Constas. Is it cheating calling someone who's played 5 tests for Australia a young gun? Look, in any case, Sam Constas, he still can't legally drink in the USA for another 300 days. So surely that means he counts as a young gun. Look, as cricket lovers, we were teased a little bit since his rise up the ranks and into a baggy green last year. We saw glimpses of what he's capable of. Nothing more impressive than that opening session domination against Bumrah and the rest of the Indians in Melbourne last year. He returned to the Big Bash and scored 122 runs in 5 matches. He top scored with 56, but his average was a pretty poor 24. Without a spot in the Ashes squad, some more preparation time for the Thunder. I expect him to come into this season's tournament with a bit more of a point to prove. He'll want to put his name back into contention for the Test side, as well as for that T20 World Cup happening next year. If he can find some more patience at the crease and go after the bad balls rather than after every single ball, I expect we'll see him build on that average of 24 from last season quite nicely. And I think he's going to be a mainstay in our GDS teams when the Thunder are playing. We might have a bit of a head scratcher if we go the Constas or Warner option, or we go the both of them and hope they can put on a nice big opening partnership there for the Thunder. It'll be a frustrating watch at times. Don't get me wrong. He'll play some silly shots and you'll be sitting there shaking your head going, why did you bother? Look, but when he gets going, you're going to be glad that you slotted him into your lineup because it's going to be exciting. It might not last for too long, but it'll certainly be enjoyable.
Yeah, I definitely think if he finds some patience in his game, I think he becomes a pretty solid play nearly every week. But until he can find that, like you said, that ability to, want to ramp someone on the very first ball he faces can potentially be a downfall and give you no GDS points for the innings. So definitely a watch and play depending on how he's going and what his form is looking like, and potentially linking back to that fantasy textbook as well and having a look at matchups and grounds and seeing where he can be played the best.
Yeah, absolutely love that. Great advice. We've mentioned plenty of Pakistani players and expecting them to have big tournaments this year. You've got another Pakistani player to wrap things up. Who's the MVP for the Thunder, mate?
Yeah, as you said, Pakistani all-rounder Shadab Khan. He returns to the Big Bash for the Sydney Thunder after a couple of seasons away. Look, he's featured in 3 seasons for 3 separate BBL teams in the past: the Brisbane Heat, the Sydney Sixers, the Hobart Hurricanes. So he's going to have his crack at the Sydney Thunder now and hope that he can come away with a season's win. Look, he's accrued some impressive stats at those clubs as well. In a combined 11 matches, which is obviously not much across 3 seasons, but 11 matches in the Big Bash, he's taken 14 wickets and added 78 runs from 9 innings. But his true strength, I think, is probably reflected at that international level. He's taking a wicket every 19 balls and adding an average of 18 runs with the bat. He hasn't featured a lot in this preseason either. He hasn't actually featured in a T20 match since June this year. However, in that Pakistan v Bangladesh 3-match series, he finished up with 55 runs across 2 innings and then took 4 wickets from only 9 overs. So pretty keen to see what he can do once again, returning to the Big Bash. And it'll be really interesting to see where he slots in for the Thunder and where he gets the ball. Obviously, they've got a couple of spinners there in Chris Green, Tanvir Singh as well. So it'll be quite interesting to see how he sort of leads that pack. And I think that obviously his experience is going to be super important. I think he slots into number 6 as well in terms of batting in front of the likes of Green and Sams. Obviously that might change if the situation changes, but I think he's going to get plenty of time with bat in hand as well. And look, if we've got a wicket-taking all-rounder who's super handy with the bat, I think he should be able to dominate for the Thunder across that 25-26 season. And I think the important thing for me, the reason that he is my MVP is that he's going to be a pod for so many people because his card numbers are just not that high at the moment. Somewhat limited. He's new to the game in terms of his player cards, so you've got to go and get your hands on his cards somehow, whether that's opening packs, trading, buying, etc. Jump across to that market and try and find a Shadab Khan card, because I think he's going to be super valuable, particularly throughout the middle of the series, I think. Look, and just quietly, just having a look at the textbook, the schedule for the Thunder, round 12, up against the Brisbane Heat at the Gabba. It is a double prize round. I think that could be a little Fantasy Bros watch along and meet up at the Gabba. What do you think, boys?
Sounds good to me.
I like it.
Unreal. We'll have to pencil that in for sure.
Get our Shadab Khan cards handy. And I do have one platinum card, just the one, boys. No silvers, no golds, no bronzes yet. Yeah. So he'll certainly find a spot in one of my sides. I'm just a bit concerned that he might be that guy that's the end of a pretty handy batting lineup, batting 6 there, with maybe a couple of the explosive hitters to go on above him if required. And also maybe that third option, that third spinning option, as well as the 3 pace bowlers. He's obviously going to bring a lot of experience. But I think we really need to see those 3 or 4 overs and him to get some time in the middle to be a reliable option. I just don't know if he's going to have that role with the ball if they do name Chris Green and Tanvir Sanger. If they only opt for the one of those guys, then yeah, wheels up, all in on Khan. But I think maybe those people that don't have a shut up Khan card early will maybe it might pay off for them to just sit back and watch and then see if they need to invest. But that's certainly where you could get a head start if he does go off nice and early, and you're one of the few that actually rolls him out, hoping that he has a nice role in this side. Rightio, that is it for our player previews. On to the very last pack opening, and we've packed some absolute doozies, haven't we? We've got an all-star. You have to go back to last week's episodes and listen to that. And I had a pretty nice Sydney Sixers card packed in the previous episode as well. So, Dill, how's your pack luck going? Can we pack one more all-star in the final episode?
Let's see what we can do. Just a reminder for everyone to get involved in the giveaway. You make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube channel, our Spotify, or our Apple podcast, and like the video, the podcast, and then comment your MVP, your young gun, and your fade for the Thunder for the 25-26 season. Don't forget to go back and do it for all of our previews as well, so you can have up to 8 entries into the giveaway. Alrighty, let's jump in. One more rare all-star pack. Let's go. Maybe a Davey Warner. Oh, I might have to refresh first. Apologies, boys.
Ooh,
The suspense.
That must mean we've got to load that
Teasing
Davey
us.
Warner into our pack here. Alrighty, jumping across. Let's go. David Warner, all-star. Let's go. Come on. Alrighty, first off the rank, we have a Colin Munro gold. We have a Perry gold. And we're going to follow that up with the Tommy Andrews. It is a Thunder, and as we said, all Thunder cards go into the giveaway. Tom Andrews probably not at the top of everyone's wish list, unfortunately, on that giveaway. We might see if we can replace it with something a little bit better. Alrighty, boys, that is it. We've done our 8-team previews. We're going to jump into our positional ranking shows in the next couple of weeks, and then it's wheels up. The season's not that far away. Remember, we have our live round 1 preview coming to you an hour before the first ball is bowled in the Sixers Scorchers matchup. We're going to release the schedule for all of our live shows a little later in the week as well. That will happen over on our Instagram, our Facebook page, so make sure you have liked, subscribed, followed, etc. to all of our socials at Fantasy Bros AU. Remember as well, the textbook is available. It is free. And if you can show us that you have downloaded it, you'll get an extra entry into the giveaway. All you need to do is head to our website, fantasybrosau.com, jump down to the merch, download that the free textbook. While you're there, grab yourself a Christmas present. We've got hats, we've got shirts, we've got hoodies as well. So check out all of that merchandise. Remember as well, if you're new, make sure you sign up using the promo code SUMMER. That is all caps, SUMMER, and you'll get 3 3-player common packs to start off your squad. Then you can also open all of those bronze packs. Boys, it has been an absolute pleasure. Cannot wait for the start of the season. Good luck. We'll talk soon.
Thanks boys.
Mate.
Catch you next time.
See ya.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode by the Fantasy Bros. If you want to show your support, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this show on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcast. Also, make sure you check us out on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Just search at Fantasy Bros AU.